they had storms coming that afternoon, and it was all tape delayed on TV. Now, the average person, unless they went on like PGAtour.com's leaderboard, they wouldn't have known that Tiger had won. But, next thing you know, I'm closing the shop over at Isleworth, and who shows up in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, after all of this is over, but Tiger. And we're getting to the point where he's playing the 18th hole, as timing would be it. And I'm watching it on the screen, and I'm like, man, this is pretty exciting. And he's like, isn't it? Right? I mean, it's him on the screen standing in front of me in the shop. And, just as it gets down to the last, he came out, he was like on the 18th tee when he's like, oh, I should watch this, and I'm like, you got to be this guy. But he was always like, he could always be so tongue in cheek because he wanted everything. So like he would just have fun with us. And as he gets down to the green, as it turns out, I don't know what happened, but he knows what happened. And the putt is like halfway to the hole, and he walks out of the shop, and all he says to me as he's walking out the door is he makes it, and then he just leaves.
At Mayo Experience.
This is the final word on the Players' Championship with Keith Stewart, who is live at Sawgrass right now. If you're watching us, smash the like to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network. Plus, you can get Keith's newsletter down in the description. The link is there. My free newsletter down there as well. But what I want to know in the comment section is, who is your single favorite long shot this week to contend? They don't need to win. Maybe a top 5, a top 10, whoever it might be from the very bottom of the board. Who are you liking? Keith, if you were a commenter, who would be that guy for you?
How about a plus 15,500 Wyndham Clark? He's been good here before, and it just seems like the time that all of a sudden he might show up. So there's one for you to start the conversation.
Well, since you are live on the scene, obviously you don't have a ton of Rory news because he hasn't said anything about what he's doing so far this week. But Harry Diamond was on the grounds on Tuesday, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. I actually do have Rory news. Both Sean, his agent, and Harry were here. They have been here. Well, today is, we're recording this on Tuesday. So, yes, they're here today, which leads us to believe that Rory will show up at some point. Harry's out ahead doing his normal work. So we like to see that. Means Rory's coming, at least to give it a try. So that much we know.
Listen, if he's not like close to, because back problems, if you're not 100%, like they don't usually go from like 40%, especially with a spasm. It's not like it's 40% one day and then 80% the next day and then 90%. It's usually either it's spasmed or it's not. So as long as he's good on that front, I think that we should be good. And I'm seeing his number slip down to 17-1. This might cross 20 at some point, and I'm very intrigued if it crosses 20.
Oh, if it crosses 20, I mean, all bets are on. That's for sure, because he's the defending champion. He has proven himself to be able to play well. He was playing well at API. If this is just like a little snafu in the moment and they can get the thing relaxed and he's back to doing what he's doing, but Rory's swinging well right now. He definitely at 20. I mean, he's got to be an auto bet.
I would think so. And listen, I'm okay with lighting the money on fire if he's not okay. That if I get Rory at a good number, I'm good to go with that.
Absolutely. I'm 100% behind you on that. You're very, very rarely going to see that number on that level of elite superstar. So by all means, let's do it. Let's get the matches out. Let's just start burning dollar bills.
You have seen Smotherman and Knapp at the range, right?
I've seen both. I've seen them both swinging. They look to be fine. I will say this much. When I saw Jake Knapp show up to the front of the clubhouse, he did have a, I don't know if I'd call it a bandage, but he definitely was favoring his side. And but when he was hitting balls on the range, he looked great. So, I mean, could be all. From what I've heard so far, it's very precautionary. And he didn't need to play API, and he really wanted to play. He knew he was playing well, and he wanted to play the players. So I think Jake Knapp was just focused on this week. I think he's fine. He's probably getting a ton of treatment, but I think if you like Jake Knapp, you're good with Jake Knapp. Smotherman, I didn't see him last week when he didn't play. And then, so like for me, when he walked away from API, he looked fine the other day. I don't have anything. I don't have anything on either front there to report that, would deter me if that's somebody that you want to go with, that you wouldn't go with. This is a big week this week, especially for a guy like Austin Smotherman. He's going to give it his all. And I think that we can count on his approach play this week.
Any other guys who've been previously injured that you've seen around? Have you seen Sung Jae or JT on the grounds?
JT's been around a bunch. He's been practicing. I've been here since Sunday night. So I was here all day Monday. I've seen Sung Jae hit balls. Sung Jae looks great. He and Willie are just doing their normal routine. Sung Jae looked like his normal jovial self. I actually watched him hit balls for a while because he was next to Morikawa yesterday or on Monday. He was next to him, and they were having a grand old time. And yeah, I mean, all of these guys look like they're ready to go. JT in the press room still is like the way he was at API. He still doesn't seem uber confident in his own ability right now, but in his words, he's kind of working on the build up to Augusta. So overall, I think discretion is the better part of valor when it comes to any JT backer this week.
I wanted to thank you for setting everything up last week so we could do this show in person. I'm sorry I had so many double espressos and just kept talking the entire time.
Oh, no. I mean, hey, man, it's your show. I'm just happy to be here. I had an incredible time with you all day at TGL. Tom Kim's hole-in-one was probably one of the most fantastic moments I've ever seen live in golf. Just an incredible, like the place just went to pure bedlam. And then in the press room afterwards to see Tiger and his reaction. I mean, knowing Tiger so many years ago when he was younger and how throughout, his career, he's become like more and more stoic and everything and kind of guarded. And then to see him act like a kid again with all of his teammates took me back. And I really, really enjoyed that moment. I haven't seen that side of Tiger in I don't know how long. And so overall, the day it started with you and I, and it ended with Tiger. And in between, you and I had an incredible time. Jeff was there. Joe Idoni was there. Matt Gannon was there. Like all good guys there having just an incredible time at TGL. It was fun.
I want to revisit something that you told me off air, and I want you to share the story on the show about Tiger at Bay Hill.
Are you talking about the rain delay story?
Yes.
Okay, so 2001, if y'all can remember, or if you think back, or you want to go look it up on YouTube or whatever, the final round of 2001, and it's Bay Hill, Tiger and Phil. It's that famous shootout, and it comes down to the final hole where Tiger ends up making the putt on the last putt there, curling, kind of similar to the one that Daniel Berger made to save par, just maybe like 10 feet longer than that. So Tiger curls that putt in, he makes it, he wins by one. But what most people don't know about that day, and if you go back to that time, is that was played in the morning. They had storms coming that afternoon, and it was all tape delayed on TV. Now, the average person, unless they went on like PGAtour.com's leaderboard, they wouldn't have known that Tiger had won. But, next thing you know, I'm closing the shop over at Isleworth, and who shows up in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, after all of this is over, but Tiger. And we're getting to the point where he's playing the 18th hole, as timing would be it. And I'm watching it on the screen, and I'm like, man, this is pretty exciting. And he's like, isn't it? Right? I mean, it's him on the screen standing in front of me in the shop. And, just as it gets down to the last, he came out, he was like on the 18th tee when he's like, oh, I should watch this, and I'm like, you got to be this guy. But he was always like, he could always be so tongue in cheek because he wanted everything. So like he would just have fun with us. And as he gets down to the green, as it turns out, I don't know what happened, but he knows what happened. And the putt is like halfway to the hole, and he walks out of the shop, and all he says to me as he's walking out the door is he makes it. And then he just leaves. And I'm like ultimate mic drop on me. And I'm just like, sometimes I just pinch myself. Like I told you last week, I was like, my life in golf at moments has been like, it's been dreamlike. And that was just one of those totally surreal moments that I'll never forget. 2001 Bay Hill.
Since you're at the grounds at Sawgrass, what else have you noticed either about the course, about certain players, the vibe that's going on there right now? Tell me about it.
The vibe is since they went back to March, and we've seen the list of past champions that have been here, since 2019, starting with Rory, they've really kind of elevated this event. And I'm not sure that the tour, we criticize them all the time, but I'm not sure that the tour 100% knew that they were doing this, but they've really leaned into the agronomy of this place. They've really leaned into the fan experience, and they've kind of followed Augusta in the player experience. So the players seem to be more jazzed up when they're here. The fans are more jazzed up. It's an unbelievable venue to watch a golf tournament. Probably the best in all of golf because of the way that Pete and Alice Dye designed this place with all the mounding, all the stadium seating. certainly has the best finish in golf. But you could tell that the guys, forget the whole major conversation, but the practice routines look a little bit more quiet, a little bit more intense. There's less testing of equipment going on. There's just a lot more focus, a lot more like, a lot of these guys were at Bay Hill. And then, I'm not always here on a Monday, but when I am here on a Monday and there's that many like superstars hitting balls on a Monday, then you know that there's something special going on. I've walked the golf course a couple times, just looked at a bunch of different holes. The rumors that you hear about the rough are not exaggerated. I think that maybe there's been a mandate from the top down. I wrote about this in the newsletter that if they want to be considered a major, I think they're trying to turn this into a major test. You could definitely see a lot of bounce in the greens. We did receive some rain here on Sunday night, and but not enough to like really soften the surfaces. The place is in pretty much perfect shape, and the guys are talking about how early in the week the greens are firm, how much rough there is, how much where the trouble is around the greens, how difficult it is, the bunkering, and of course how deep the grass is. I mean, when you have those moguls and those chocolate drop mounds and everything throughout this design, it's really tough to mow in the low areas there. I mean, the grass down there could be 6-7 inches deep. So if you get it right on 14 or you miss the green on 18 and you end up in some of those areas, the golf course, I think, is going to play right where they want it to play and give you pretty much like a mid-teens major-like final score come Sunday. And then I say all of that with a big question mark around the weather.
So right now with the weather, it seems like it's going to be a lower sustained winds and higher gusts in the morning on Thursday. But then there's calls for potential thunderstorms later on in the day, right around midday. So with higher consistent winds, but similar gusts. And then it's a bit windier in the morning on Friday. And people are freaking out, thinking, oh, you got to take all the AM guys on Thursday. And that could end up being the correct call. But I've experienced this tournament too many times where I think I've found a wave advantage and they just take guys off the course, or the rain and thunder show up 3 hours ahead of expected schedule from what we see on Wednesday. And all of a sudden it changes. So at least as it pertains to my outright bets this week, I'm not going to put too much consideration into that. Maybe the closer we get, when I do the live show on Wednesday night, if it's still looking that firm, maybe for first round leader, I'll think about that. I will most definitely be stacking each side on DraftKings, but that's a totally different format than usually what we're talking about. How do the players react to this sort of stuff? Like, is there chatter about it? Because I know that like every second year there's some horrible weather at this tournament.
The only chatter you really hear about these guys is when they're in the press room. And, the reporters will bring it up and they say, how are you going to prepare for the weather? And, JT was talking the other day about how he has 6 weather apps on his phone and he really likes to pay attention to it. And other guys, they could care less. They just roll with the punches. I would be very apprehensive about planning my outright selections around what is going to happen with the weather right now. For me, I would almost be more worried of what the wind is going to be like late Friday than I am worried at all about the rain on Thursday afternoon. If the rain comes through, the wind does look somewhat suspect, but that's not nearly as bad. And if it's just rain and it gets a little softer out there, then that almost becomes somewhat of an advantage to the guys. And especially if they get delayed and then they get pushed to the next Friday morning, Friday afternoon looks like complete carnage if they get to a cut or not. And with this being the flagship event, there's a propensity to pause play. I mean, you remember in 2022 when Cam Smith won, what they completed the second round on Sunday and they finished the tournament on Monday. So the tour has shown that they're not going to rush this thing because they want it to turn out the best that they can and the most fair that they can. So if the rain that they're forecasting for tomorrow, for Thursday, turns out to be like it is, then overall, I'm just more worried about Friday afternoon's wind than I am about Thursday's rain.
It does seem like there might be consistent wind all day on Friday. So the AM and PM groups on Friday might get hit with that. And who knows? And that's why I don't want to put too much consideration to it for the outright betting. Again, first round leader, DraftKings, I think those are separate markets, separate situations, because you can try to game those to your advantage. Eventually, there's probably going to be wind on the weekend too, so your guys are going to have to play in the wind at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be a struggle at one point, and that's part of this tournament. Once they moved it to March, we all know what the weather has been like. It's it's been suspect at best at sometimes. It does look like the weekend is going to be a little bit better, maybe a chance of showers on Sundays, but I'm with you. I am not going to overreact to this. I think that overall, I'm interested in the best players that with their recent form, the way things are going right now, and that's where my head lies in all of this.
It's winter and it's cold, at least where I'm at, and I'm spending way more time indoors, aka I'm sleeping more. If you're like me, it's time to upgrade your sleep and switch to Helix. You'll never go back. I took the Helix sleep quiz. It matched me to the right mattress for how I actually sleep, not how some showroom goober thinks I sleep. And since it's been all restful nights, no tossing, no back pain, and my sleep tracking actually backs that up. My deep sleep numbers off the charts, good, way better than before. We've got more than just one Helix in our house now, too. Just threw one in the upcoming baby's room so I can get back to sleep quickly the moment that the baby goes down. Helix builds mattresses for different people, not a one-size-fits-all nonsense, because that wouldn't make any sense. There's free shipping in the United States and a 120-night sleep trial with a limited lifetime warranty. Go to helixsleep.com/Mayo for 27% off, site-wide exclusive for listeners of the Pat Mayo Experience. That's helixsleep.com/Mayo. Do it now! A well-built wardrobe isn't about having more clothes, it's about having the right pieces that actually work together and hold up over time. That's what Quince does best. Quince has the everyday essentials that I love with quality that lasts. Organic cotton sweaters, polos for any occasion, lightweight jackets that keep you warm as the seasons start to shift, all designed to be easy to wear and easy to rely on. They work directly with top factories and cut out the middleman, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing that's built to handle daily wear and still look good season after season. The wool coat I picked up from Quince is holding up way better than the other coats that I bought for way more. Looks good, keeps me warm, didn't break the bank. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/Mayo for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. It's now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Mayo. I'm currently 4 months off cigs, and cravings aren't just about nicotine. They're about habit. The hand-to-mouth motion, that quick pause during the day and when you're trying to quit, it's breaking that loop that's the hardest part. That's why people replace smoking with eating, something of which I am very guilty of. That's where Fume comes in. Not only is Fume spelled with an umlaut, which is awesome, Fume is a flavored air device designed to help you ditch vaping or smoking by replacing the habit itself. No nicotine, no batteries, no vapor, just a weighted, twisty, fidget-friendly device that gives your hands and mouth something to do when the cravings hit. I've had these moments where I just normally reach for a cig. Instead, I just grab my Fume to fidget with. That interruption is exactly why it works. The flavors are lighter too. Think like flavored water versus soda. Crisp mint, strongest if you're a heavy user. Raspberry, got some more of that tangy sweetness. It's quite nice. Fume has already helped over 700,000 people take steps towards better habits. And now, it's your turn. Use my code MAYO to get a free gift with your Journey Pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com and use code MAYO to claim your free gift today. Right now, you can get the rabbit hole at betspertsgolf.com for $1 for 7 days, including today, through the next 7 days. If you use code Sawgrass at betspertsgolf.com, hit the description, find the easy link there. One of the things that I wanted to look at with you is no player who has won this tournament since the move to March has averaged fewer than 1.5 strokes gained total on the year coming in. And that only leaves a group of 7 players. Would you like to know them?
Oh, absolutely. Let's get it going.
Rory McIlroy, Jake Knapp, Scotty Scheffler, Nikolai Højgaard, Minwoo Lee, Siwoo Kim, and Colin Morikawa.
I do like that list. There's a couple names there for sure. Yeah. Colin for sure. This golf course, he was in the press room on Monday, and he is just, I'm going to use the word joy. He just seems like such a different guy than he did a year ago. He is so confident in his ball striking right now. It's palpable. you could just feel it. He felt so good. People were hitting him with questions left and right, comparing him to Victor with like swimmies on and tinkering and doing all these things. And he was just so open and transparent and so jovial about these conversations where a year ago he felt like he was under attack. I mean, Colin's at the top of that list for me with all the question marks that surround around Rory's back.
Colin has been bet down to the second favorite right now. He's as low as 16-1, maybe even 15-1 in some spots. I liked Morikawa coming into the week. I wish I had been sensible like all those people who bet him during the fourth round of Pebble Beach and took the 60s and 65s. I can't get there at 15 with him. He still doesn't putt well enough for me. And now that you've asked him to be the guy to knock off Scottie Scheffler, I mean, if it was 30-1, yes. Even 25-1. 15, 17-1, no thanks.
I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, but if you think Colin, when's the last time we've seen Colin playing this well? And I don't believe it's been during the Scottie era. This will be his first chance to go after Mr. Scheffler and Mr. McIlroy, with full strength, with all his engines running. I'm in for it. I mean, I think that Colin makes the most sense at the top of the board. I think he makes more sense than Scottie, and obviously he makes more sense than Rory with the question marks circling around him.
He does, but now you're paying a premium for that, and Morikawa hasn't done well as the most tipped guy, the favorite coming in that everyone, especially for this tournament too. Whenever the arrow just points at you, outside of Scottie Scheffler in the second year that he won, it's really been like the main guy usually goes busto at Sawgrass.
Well, how many times throughout the course of the year does the favorite win?
But he's not even the favorite. It's just everyone is on Morikawa this week. That rarely turns out well.
I mean, I can't disagree with you there because only one guy can win in a field of 123. Thank you, Brooks, for the 2 extra players. And, when we don't know anything on a Wednesday, you have to go with who fits the best, who has the most recent form, and who looks like they can confidently challenge the number 1 player in the world.
I will throw out that you said when was the last has Morikawa played this well during the Scottie era? I would contend he was playing this well at this time last year. He was 2nd, 17th, 17th, 2nd, 10th, and 14th. He just lost in a really horrible way at Bay Hill last year. And this year he just kind of puttered off early.
I mean, we could go back and forth on this all day. You're not going to talk me off the Morikawa ledge, right? Those that know me know that I've never been that big of a Colin truther, but what I am seeing him from a ball striking perspective is so good that I think it's adding to an extra level of confidence for him. And with that being the case, at the top of the board, he to me has more answers than questions surrounding his candidacy to be the next Players Champion.
Of the top 25 players this season in strokes gained total, only 2 of them have lost strokes putting on the year. Morikawa is one, Siwoo is the other. So the putter isn't necessarily fixed for Morikawa. And it's funny because I'm usually the big Morikawa guy. This number is disgusting to me.
It's funny all of a sudden you and I have switched places because in the past I've always been the one to just kind of like move past Colin. And now and you're always like locked in on him no matter what the event is. And we've totally switched places. But hey, here's the thing, Pat. I'm in on Morikawa. We can move on.
What about
You're not going to change my mind.
Okay. Well, what about that next tier of guy? Like, we talked about Rory a little bit. You're not in on Scheffler at the current odds, although I do see him at plus 425 now, which is a little bit more reasonable than the 3-1 that he opened at. But Xander, Fleetwood, Siwoo, Hideki, they're all sitting right there. And I haven't finalized my betting card yet because I'm in on Siwoo. I've bet Siwoo. I think for all, if you just looked at the numbers and the results and took away the name Colin Morikawa and took away the name Siwoo Kim, everyone would be betting on Siwoo Kim in that profile for what he's been doing so far this year. Can he putt? Probably not. But if you see like on the rabbit hole, if you see the green on him at the end of the week in the putting category, he's probably inside the top 5 is the way that I would try to look at it with the performance that he's put on this season, ball striking. And Sawgrass, especially with this extra rough that you talked about, accuracy. It's still kind of his thing. And he's been the best approach player on tour this year. Dude just loses half a stroke putting every single round, which is a bit difficult. Hasn't been as bad at Sawgrass over the years. Hopefully he can channel some of that. But I'm between like, do I wait for Rory's number to drop? Or do I just say, you know what? Hideki and Goddard have been excellent so far this season. They are two completely different styles of players, but both players I think that can navigate the wind really well and have that scoring upside that you still need at Sawgrass. I worry about Hideki's driving, but it's been better over the past 2 starts.
So a couple quick things there. As I'm looking at the board right now, Scotty on one of the books down here is plus 480. If Scotty crosses 5, do you have any interest in that?
It moves a little bit for me.
Okay. I was just curious about that as I looked over because I was looking at Colin's number. I'm looking at Rory's number. Rory's at 16 down here
What's
on
Colin?
multiple places.
What's
so
Colin?
he's climbing by the second. And the later he gets here tomorrow, the more that number is going to go up. I was with Hideki last week at Bay Hill, and I have concerns there. I do not have concerns about Chris Goddard. And I think that with the fact that you cannot miss left here and how much, if you are a great driver of the golf ball, it can be an advantage, especially in a positional sense where Goddard can club down and then be more accurate and hit more fairways. And it falls into that approach range that he's a little bit better on, and he's proven that he can score. This may be Goddard's moment. I'm more interested in Goddard there. And he's not kind of toward the deeper end of the middle. Versus, where Hideki is probably right around. What's Hideki's number?
Hideki's 30, Goddard is 50. I always say this because the price of Colin is basically 2 Hidekis at this point. That you're spending less money to win more on Hideki and Goddard. And it doesn't need to be Hideki. You can sell me on Tommy Fleetwood. You can sell me on Xander Schauffele. You can't sell me on is Ludwig Åberg. No thanks here.
No, you can't sell me on him either. That's for sure. You could sell me on Russell.
But at the number that Russell is at, why wouldn't I just bet Fleetwood instead? Who's better than him?
Well, Russell and Fleetwood aren't at the same number.
Well, they're 28 and 24. It's essentially the same number.
Okay. Then if you like a pivot there and you're looking for a guy that can really hit his irons and plays aggressively, which suits this style of championship because of the Pete Dye design, then I really like the opportunity where Victor sits. If we're going to sit here and haggle over numbers all day, I like the opportunity that Victor represents. He's got great history on this golf course, and he doesn't miss it left. And I was impressed with his level of ball striking, and it looked like he looked a lot more comfortable. Like, I didn't see any training aids on the range at API. So that's a good sign that at least maybe we're not changing something that day. And when I see that out of Victor, and you're playing a very difficult golf course like API, and day after day, his ball striking was pretty solid. That gives me some interest.
The reason that I wouldn't go with him is funny because one of the reasons that I was almost talked myself into him last week, we had that big discussion about around the green play at Bay Hill, which is hilarious because Daniel Berger, like the worst guy on tour, ended up there, and he kind of he cracked the code, hit greens in regulation, then you don't have to chip. It's not that big of a deal. But I do think that Sawgrass overemphasizes some of the better short game players. That's actually what led me back to Hideki over and over and over. And I have seen Victor chunk, miss, and just have balls roll back to his feet so many times at this tournament. I just can't do it with him at this price. You want to double his price? Absolutely. But now that he's still down there with Xander and Fitzpatrick and Hideki and Henley and Cam Young and Fleetwood, he's right around that range. I don't want to take him there.
I mean, I see Victor at 40 down here.
That's a better number than I'm seeing elsewhere at this point.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm talking about Victor. Is that when I see Victor in the 40s and his ability on a golf course like this, where he's been able to have top 5s, top 10s before, that gives me a lot of interest. And I get it. Like, if you want to compare Russell to Tommy, and we can have those discussions all day long, but as we're looking for value in that middle range, Victor and Goddard, to me, represent a lot of opportunity. Based upon the way I look at the golf course and the way it's playing, I feel like those guys can attack. And I want guys that can attack this week, because what's going to happen is that there's going to be a lot of question situations in the fairways, on the tee boxes, with the wind, the change in weather, and all of this. And I want guys that love to hit the gas pedal. And I want guys that feel really good about their game, and they have the ability to, they don't have the Berger mode. The other, like I knew Berger was in trouble on Sunday when he got up to number 10 and he hit an iron off the tee. He changed the complete DNA. He had just made birdie on 9. He had a 4-shot lead. He had a 5-shot lead on Akshay. And then he completely changed the DNA of his tournament. 63 holes in, and it was like, whoa, this doesn't, like, man, you should still be going here, dude. Just lose if you're going to lose. But, like, get the 3-wood out here on 10. Get whatever you've been hitting for the first 3 days on 11. Like, let's keep attacking this place. Next thing you know, he's hitting a gap wedge 100 feet left of his target because he's thinking about winning, and he's thinking about how he's going to plot himself around and save that 3-shot lead. It's a Pete Dye design. Pete rewards people that play on the risk edge. And this is why you should love a guy like Siwoo. Siwoo doesn't care if he comes in first or miss the cut, but he's going to play the same way. And those are the guys that you want this week, especially if there's going to be delays and all sorts of things going on. You want guys that are going to live on the edges because that's the way this golf course is manicured. That's the way this golf course is set up. And that's the way this golf course was designed and the tournament is meant to be played. You think about it, year after year after year, the guy that wins on the last 3 holes is the guy that goes and attacks the golf course rather than the one that holds back. And Siwoo is a perfect example of that.
Why not Akshay then? Akshay is the exact thing you just described.
Just the odds against winning back-to-back in 2 elite fields like this. But outside of that, Akshay should definitely be a play for a number of different betting opportunities, whether it be head-to-heads, props, etc. You want to go back-to-back for Akshay? I can't argue. For all those reasons, I cannot argue against that. I could just say that, well, he lost 3.7 strokes with the driver at Bay Hill. Can you pull out the magic beans 2 weeks in a row? Well, Jordan Spieth did a couple of years for like 4 majors in a row. The guy gained 6. Let's be honest. Akshay gained 16 strokes on the field last week between his chipping and his putting. So, like, is that a recipe for back-to-back victories? I don't know. Losing 4 strokes with the driver, I don't know. So maybe that gives me some pause, but he's that type of player. He's going to go for first or 100th. He doesn't care. And you love those guys here.
Well, and he lines up with exactly what you want to see. And of note, it's not going to be the same sort of driving performance for Akshay at Sawgrass as it was at Bay Hill. Akshay had gained with his driver in the 3 previous starts, just for whatever reason, Bay Hill didn't suit his eye until he got up and around the greens. His iron play was still fine. It was down from where it usually was. He needed those magic beans, but normally he doesn't need those magic beans. Let's not forget, he had Pebble Beach 1 and gave it away against a signature event field as well. And of all the courses that they've played so far this season, like the ones I would look at the most of how guys have done at would be Sony and Pebble Beach versus Sawgrass. I'm not looking at the Riviera when I'm thinking about Sawgrass or even Bay Hill.
No, your rationale is spot on. That's the type of guy that you want to be able to play well here. That's why, whether we like the number or not, that's why I like Colin. That's why it looks like a very nice opportunity for a bounce back with Tommy. I asked Tommy a question yesterday in the Monday in the press room. And I said, you do this thing all the time where you come in like 40th place and then all of a sudden you come back and have a top 10 and you contend. Like, what is it about you that, like, did you have a knack for that bounce back gene? And he just said, he goes, I don't question my process. He goes, everyone's going to have bad weeks. It's golf. He goes, I stick to what I'm doing. I believe in it. And if I continue just to try to do that over and over again, he goes, I'm going to have more good results than bad results. And I was like, wow, if a guy thinks like that, then I think Tommy is definitely an opportunity this week.
So Tommy's on my short list. So is Hideki and obviously Rory, depending on what that number gets to. Tell me a little bit about Xander, because he's just been in neutral, it seems, the entire season so far, but nothing's bad. It's just not really, really good like we're expecting. Could this be a spot for him? Like, when I think about the best drivers in the world, outside of Brian Harmon, no player hits it straighter than Xander Schauffele, which is good here.
So last week on Wednesday, Pro-Am afternoon, because of where Xander finished in the FedEx Cup points last year, you remember he didn't make it to East Lake for the first time. And only about 35 guys, 36 guys go out in the Pro-Am. So he's like right on the cusp of the guys that get into the Pro-Am based upon last year's FedEx Cup points. So Xander's slated to be like the last Pro-Am guy for the rest of this season. If you can believe this, right? Now, this is a real rule. Where you finish on the FedEx Cup points list puts you in position for the Pro-Ams for the next calendar year. So even if Xander wins this event or the Masters or whatever it may be, he still sits at the end of the day. So he gets like the 1:45, 2 o'clock Pro-Am tee time on a Wednesday, week after week after week that he plays. So he's out there. There's nobody on the golf course. So I walked with Xander for his last 6 holes he finished on the front 9 at Bay Hill on Wednesday afternoon. And that guy was hitting some big boy golf shots. I mean, legit. And, how focused is a guy during a pro-am? I don't know. He seemed like he was in really good spirits. Austin and he were back and forth. There was a lot of conversation. He and I were talking about, my experience playing Bay Hill and working across the lakes and everything. And we had this great conversation. But when he stepped up to hit golf shots, man, he was hitting it really, really good. So Xander is somebody that I feel like is just kind of sleeping through a lot of these conversations that people aren't paying attention to. And Xander, if you remember in recent years, was that low teens, mid-teens guy in every single event. And now he's in the upper 20s. I think Xander represents a lot of value. You want to have the value conversation? I think Xander represents a lot of value. And he's had good history here. He's got a couple runner-ups. So it was a couple years ago, he had the lead, and then Scotty chased him down when he shot that 63, and Wyndham hit the putt on the lip. There's a lot to like about Xander, and he looks like he's in his mode. He's completely healed. He seems comfortable, and I keep going back to that. But this is a golf course that prides itself on making people uncomfortable, and the more comfortable you are when you start, the better chance you have to finish.
So right now, thinking about it, the amount of money I would have to invest, and again, I still want to wait for Rory. From the discussion that we've just had, instead of doing Hideki and Goddard, I might do Xander and Goddard.
I would take Xander over Hideki.
Okay. I want to talk about some of the risers and fallers so far this week, because there's certain guys that have just been steamed to the tits. Like it's outrageous. Like Morikawa's number is one thing that's gotten out of control, like very much up the board. Minwoo Lee in certain places is down to 33-1 to win this event.
Yeah, down here in the States, I'm still seeing like a 40 around there. So on a major book, so that's a good thing. I tell you, if this was a 36-hole golf tournament, Minwoo Lee's number would probably be like plus 1,500. I feel really good about the way he's playing, the way he's improved his approach game. He did look good last week for a decent period of time. I was on him, 6th place out of that field, is elevating his game for Minwoo. And this is obviously a place he's been very, very good at. He has not closed here. In fact, I even think last year, after 36 holes, wasn't he like 11 under and either the leader or second place, and he didn't close again like he did 3 years ago when it was his first run here and he finished in the top 10 and Scotty won. But the Minwoo Lee number, people know what we know, and they're listening to us. And unfortunately the books are listening to us too, because they're just plowing those numbers into oblivion.
Cam Young, Matt Fitzpatrick, Seb Straka are 3 others who have seen their number dramatically cut. I'm in on Straka. I bet him at 60-1 with 5 places on Saturday, and now he's down to maybe the best number you'll find is 50, but I'm not even seeing those.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 54 here. I think if you can get him above 50, at least it's half fair. Sep is certainly a lot of interest there. So last week, you and I, we were on separate sides of Matt Fitzpatrick. And I was talking to you about his trajectory and his ball flight. And I never thought in a million years, I wasn't saying that Matt was going to have, lose 4 strokes with his approach game for the week. That was a complete outlier. But if you want to get back on the Fitzpatrick train this week, I would endorse that at a place like Sawgrass, where now he's hitting wedges and you want to hit flat shots and you want to be able to control spin. And especially with all the wind, it's when you're hitting those long irons and you're hitting those like dive bomber, long irons that are very flat, high line drives that you can't stop at a place like Bay Hill. That's why I didn't like him over 72 holes. But here, where he drives it so good, I definitely could I am not going to go after Fitzpatrick in an outright market, but this would be a better fit for his style of play and his trajectory and his spin control, being that he'll be hitting 9s and wedges into all of these greens and gap wedges rather than hitting in 5 irons and 6 irons like he was at Bay Hill.
Well, it's good to see that his driving was okay, and the putting returned for the first time all year.
Putting was good.
Where was this when he was actually hitting his irons really well? I will not know, and that would have been nice the other weeks that I had money on him. But the number has been crushed so much, I don't know if I really want to go there again.
I think there's some other guys out there. You're getting a better number on Goddard, and Goddard's proven himself more in 2026. I would go there. And if I was kind of like looking for a guy to elevate his game just for this week, I think I'd go after Victor before I'd go after Fitz if they're at the same number, which roughly, as I'm looking at right now, is the same thing. So it's right around 40.
Give me the major champion over Victor Hovland.
Let me ask you a question. You think Victor will win a major in his career?
Yeah, probably. Eventually.
All right.
Like he's got PGA Championship written all over him, or like a really weird year at the Open Championship where there's like a bad you know where he could win? St. Andrews.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, but definitely the PGA, some place where he could just use that driver and that long iron game just to continue to make birdie after birdie after birdie. And then if it's got long rough around the greens and he just chunks it out, then yeah, like an Oak Hill, like he did there.
I'll have all of my final plays in the Mayo Media newsletter. You can sub to that for free right now. It's down in the description. You can find Keith's link to his newsletter down there as well, which will be sent out early on Wednesday morning. And I'll be going over all of the final plays on the live chat, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network. Unless my wife goes into labor, then I will not be there. But as of right now, things are looking good for the live chat. So hopefully I'll be there chatting with you guys. You got any questions whatsoever, bring them there because I'll have some first round leaders, some other stuff. But it's this next section of guys. Like Straka, when I bet him, was in this section. Now he's not here anymore. And I can't make heads or tails of it. Like there's three names that kind of intrigue me. One is Harris English. Two is Kurt Kitayama. And I'm in on Justin. Cuss picked Justin Rose, and I wanted to bet Justin Rose, and now I don't know what to do.
I don't know about Rose, but you have no interest in Patrick Cantlay at 65-1?
No.
Could you imagine that's where his number is?
I could, as the guy who said that he was like 8 times overpriced for the past year.
It's unbelievable. Because his numbers, like as far as, it just kind of blows my mind. No interest in Thigala down there.
No.
I have interest in Thigala.
How come?
Well, this is a place that he's played well before. I think it also requires a little bit of creativity. So that's obviously a knock on the Victor side of things. But I feel like Sahith is the type of player. Sahith is very good on positional golf courses because he hits his hybrid and his long irons very, very well. So he can put himself in the fairway when he's not hitting a ton of drivers. And then from there, he's a good scorer. I mean, he's an exceptional short game player. He's a very good putter. So I think that kind of suits him in this sort of environment, a place like Pebble, golf courses like that. So I do think, and the way that Sahith is playing right now is pretty strong.
It is. He kind of went mini Akshay on Sunday at Bay Hill, though. He was like making 50-foot putts. He was chipping in. Like it was a lot like Russell Henley in a weird way. I don't know how many times Russell Henley chipped in at Bay Hill, but I feel like I saw at least 3 of them.
Yeah, that was just on the front 9. You should have seen the back. I'm just kidding.
So the other guys that have been getting steamed up are actually some of the longer shot guys that I like this week. Like okay. I like Joel Damon this week. I think that he actually played pretty well at Bay Hill. Dude just
back with
putt.
Gino.
Back with Gino. You got Taylor Pendrith, who lost 10 strokes putting at Bay Hill. But all of a sudden, right there, his ball striking has returned. And he's someone who's played well at Sawgrass in the past and generally a pretty good putter. Michael Kim struck the hell out of the ball as well. He couldn't putt. Putting's kind of his thing. Nico has been beat down like 150 points in market right now. I bet Nico like really earlier on in the week that I was surprised to see. Like, I think he's going off at like 100-1 right now. Where's Nico?
I mean, that's a huge number. 2 guys that you're going to get up in the triple digits that just don't miss the cut here. And, anything could happen. But Tom Hoagie, that guy's 7 for 7 in cuts here. And Denny McCarthy, 6 for 6 in cuts here. Now, I guess these guys are deep and they're long shots, but at least you're going to get to the weekend and give yourself a chance. You can give yourself with Denny's putter or with Tom's, iron game. Those are 2 kind of names that historically have just shown up at this place, no matter what their form was coming in. I think that if we're way down there just having a fun conversation, I think that those guys represent some opportunity in the placement market. Anything can happen. I mean, Tom Hoagie's got 2 top 5s here in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, he's a scorer, and he set the course record, I think, 2 years ago on the Saturday. I think he shot 62 or 61 or something absolutely outrageous that year. So there's some interesting markets. Bet365 has this one open. That's where I've been playing that outright with the top 3 placement. But they also have 12 places and 10 places this week as well. So I've actually made a few bets down the board, essentially as top 10 bets, but you get the fun of the outright with them because their each way number is more than double what their top 10 number is. So I played Nico at 160 to 1 with 10 places. So you get his top 10 at, now I'm going to have to do math. This is never good on the fly. 36 to 1, 33 to 1, whatever, 32 to 1, 32 to 1. So you get 1/5 of the outright odds. So half your bet goes towards the 160 and the other half goes towards the top 10. So I got his top 10 at 32 and Michael Kim at 175 to 1. So his top 10 is 35 to 1. So I'm thinking about making a few bets like those down the board. It's funny you mentioned Hoagie, because Hoagie in that market is the same as Michael Kim. He's 175 to 1. You can get 10 places on him, and you can get his top 10 number at 35 to 1.
How about Corey Connors? I know he's right around 100, but like the way he's playing right now, and if things get a little bit iffy or nasty around this place, he's going to hit a lot of fairways and greens. He won't make the putts in order to win, but when you're talking about getting 10 places, and then the upside of winning, I mean, that might be an opportunity.
So he's 50 to 1 in that market.
Oh, okay.
So because he's been beat down in the outright market anyway, but you lose. So in the 3-place market, you get an enhanced number on your outright, and all these other markets, you get a worse number on your outright to protect themselves against some of these top 10. So you would get them at a 10 to 1 top 10, which is a good top 10 number, but I'm thinking more of guys down the board in my mind.
No, that makes sense. I'm seeing him on the board here like at 95. So I didn't know how much that the outright number was going to get chopped. But if it's getting chopped in half, then it's not worth it.
Like he's right around the same spot as Ryan Gerard. It's funny because Gerard just had an abysmal Bay Hill. But what Gerard has been doing this year is basically just Corey Connors.
Yeah, with a much stronger grip. But they do get the club in a very similar position at the top. They're both kind of a little bit funky there. And which is interesting, almost like a la like a Chad Campbell sort of way. Getting that club around them the way they do, you're talking about like 3 straight flushers of the golf ball right there, like that just don't miss. And Gerard and Connors are impressive to watch on the range. There's no doubt about it. I like watching guys like that. I've said many times before, like one of my favorite guys to watch hit irons is Tom Hoagie. I don't know why he can't figure out how to hit the driver, but man, that guy can flush any iron like you would not believe.
So the TPC Southwind comp that I've been talking about, Akshay was 6th there. I'm weirdly now trying to talk myself into Akshay. I didn't think I would.
You're deep on Akshay today. Yeah, it's crazy.
Not where. What does anyone is this the anchoring putter thing, which I don't think is anchoring and is not cheating, but people on the internet enjoy to say that. Is anyone talk about this down there? Because you'd think that if a guy's winning tournaments for $4 million over other guys on the course, that if he was actually cheating, someone would say something.
Oh, there's chatter about it in the media center. And, people talk about pictures with his hand on his shirt. The problem is with the way the rule is written. It's like, don't anchor. It's like, okay, they should just say you can't touch your clothing.
Yeah, but that's unfair for him, though. He's got no mass at all. So his shirt's going to hang off of him.
Hey, Pat. I'm not the USGA. I did not make the anchoring rule. What I'm telling you is that if you don't want there to be any conversation, then he and Bernard Langer should not be touching their shirt. That to me is the definition of not anchoring, because there's no way for me to judge that. And you're not going to get Daniel Berger, who we have known in the past to definitely protect the field in all sorts of situations when it comes to rulings in his group. And it happened here on 16 a couple of years. Well, it's probably like a decade now ago, but like we know Daniel would stand up and say something, but there's nothing you can say to Akshay in that. Yes, he's not pressing it against his chest, but we don't know how close that is to his chest. And even he's a worse example because the way his shirt does hang off of him. It shouldn't be touching his clothing. And then we would know that you cannot have that conversation about anchoring. It's just that simple. But the way it's written with the USGA right now, these guys that are touching their shirts, like I don't see what the difference is between that and what they used to do.
I guess what they used to do was they were pressing it in so their arm couldn't move. Like there was a physical difference between them.
Well, 100%. It's a bit hyperbole of what I'm saying is that, but you would never have these, golf Twitter conversations where they were saying that, Akshay was bending the rules or taking advantage of the rules or whatever, if you just can't touch your clothing. But the USGA allows those guys to get it close, and you can get close enough. And there's no way you could call Akshay out on it. No one can. Only he knows. Only he knows. Same thing with Bernard. Same thing with anybody that's got the putter. Adam Scott, any of those guys, they're all touching their shirts. They're all doing the same thing. There's a constant conversation about, I bring up Bernard because the guy wins like 4 times a year on the Champs Tour. And everyone's like, man, come on. Are you kidding me? right? And there's not a lot of media coverage of that, but like you hear a lot of that around here, in the media centers, because people cover multiple tours and so on and so forth. So they're having various conversations, whether it be Live, Champs, LPGA, etc. And the Akshay thing comes up, and it's like, well, it's pretty simple. Just don't let them touch their shirt. Then you're good to go. I mean, I don't want to be that guy in my Saturday or Sunday group, or if I'm playing in a member, and then all of a sudden I'm matched up against a guy that's got it against his shirt. There's nothing I can say. It's at some point, it all falls on you as the golfer, and integrity becomes a part of the game, and personal integrity. So the only way you eliminate that conversation is if you rewrite the rule and say, don't touch your clothing.
I find it funny that people are on Akshay about this, but they're not ever on Adam Scott about it.
Well, in the last 3 years or 4 years, Akshay has won 3 times and Adam Scott has not. So that's why.
Okay.
That's why. You start winning and people start looking is what it comes down to, especially in golf.
Justin Rose, I want to circle back to him because he was the winner at TPC Southwind. Obviously, he won at Farmers earlier this year. It's his driving that has been up and down. It's either good or bad, and he's been absolutely abysmal around the greens this year, which is surprising for Justin Rose. He's not a great around the green player, but generally he's about average. And this year he's fallen really big into the negative. However, he is top 5 on tour in strokes gained approach per round. And he's being buried down here. I feel like we've done this with Justin Rose too many times now that, he's probably the most likely to miss the cut of some of these names, but he's probably also the most likely to win too.
I just feel like Justin Rose's separation factor is as long in mid-iron play than it is a short iron play.
But there's not that many short iron shots here. Let me pull up the rabbit hole. See what the distribution is. And with the way he's driving it, he's going to have to be farther back.
Well, that's probably true.
He's
obviously good. He's obviously good on positional golf courses. He won at Pebble a couple of years ago.
So, there is an over index this week from 50 to 100 and 150 from your average PGA Tour event. But it's not substantially so. It's 10% of your shots are going to come from 100 to 150. From 50 to 100, 100 to 150, you're going to get around 10% of your shots. You still have 150 to 75, 17%, 175 to 200, 16%, and with 200 plus at right around 28% this week to make it all. So it's a little bit more skewed to these really short wedge shots. You need to be good on those, but it's not like it's you're not hitting your mid irons at all.
Sawgrass is a complete test, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the way that he's been driving the ball lately on the par 5s and such, he's going to be laying up. He's going to be hitting a lot of those scoring shots with his wedges. And, hey, certainly the par 3s, these second shots on the par 5s and some of these longer or mid irons into some of these longer, into 14 or into 18. Those are opportunities for Rose.
Rose or Brooks?
I don't know. I'd really thought about Justin Rose much this week, and he was in the press room yesterday on Tuesday, and he was his usual Justin Rose self.
Rose, Brooks, or Rickie?
Ooh, Brooks. No, I'm sorry. I totally missaid that. Rickie Fowler for sure out of those 3. Yeah.
What is it about Rickie? Is it the recent form? Because
recent form.
Brooks's tee to green has been awesome.
Yeah, but, when I heard Brooks talk in the press room on Tuesday, he's very much in an Augusta state of mind. He talked a lot about how he had, he was excited to go down to Houston because he had helped design that golf course and how this was the build. So there was a lot of questions towards Brooks about like, how is this different than Live? And he's like, well, I can kind of like build out a schedule that allows me to build up to the majors. And in many ways, like that's what I want to be able to do. And that's why I came back. And he was very transparent about all of that. And in that transparency, it was easy to tell that, like, yes, he'd like to play better here than his record has shown, but he's really focused on Augusta at this point. And the difference starts. So he's going to go here, Valspar, and then he's going to go to Houston. Then he's going to take the week off, and then he's going to go into Augusta. And he's kind of got that in his mindset. I just feel like he's looking past here. And he said it himself. He goes, if I didn't have to play the 17th hole here, he goes, I'd probably have a lot of top 10s here, but I do. He goes, and that hole's in my head. Well, I don't like to hear that. Like as soon as I hear stuff like that this guy is spending his nights thinking about the 17th hole instead of thinking about winning. And then he's looking about, his travel plans and what tour dates he's going to prior to Augusta. It just tells me I'd rather be more focused on a guy like Rickie, who's playing extremely well right now, and he does the things we need in order to play well here. I go Rickie.
Look, I'll be straight with you. We talk all the time about getting better at work, sports, in life, whatever it might be. But most guys ignore the one thing that actually drives all of it: your head. Therapy isn't a weakness, it's a tool. I've seen it help guys deal with work stress, family stuff, breakups, addictions, whatever it might be. Just getting unstuck when everything feels heavy. The problem? It's usually a pain to get started. Long wait list, huge cost, total hassle, you know the deal. That's why Rula is different. Rula makes therapy simple, affordable, and fast. They work with most major insurance plans, and sessions can cost as little as $15. You answer a few quick questions, they match you with a licensed vetted therapist that actually fits what you need, and you can be talking to someone as soon as the next day. No weeks of waiting, no guessing if you pick the right person. If you've been putting this off, stop! Go to rula.com/mayo and get started today. That's RULA.com/mayo. Once again, that's rula.com/mayo. Take the first step. Take control of your mental health. So there is about to be a new development in the Mayo household. As many of you know, a new baby is arriving soon. In fact, it may already be here by the time that you're listening to it. That's how close we are. Which meant suddenly I was looking around my house and realizing that I am wildly unprepared for an extra human being to be living here. And honestly, Wayfair has been a lifesaver. When you're getting ready for a baby, you realize that you need everything: new bedding, storage, furniture, things to organize the nursery, things to organize literally every other room in the house because it's about to get taken over by baby stuff. The other kids, they hate this. Wayfair makes it ridiculously easy because it's basically a one-stop shop. We grabbed new storage solutions, some nursery pieces, and even some refreshed parts of the living room so it doesn't look like a tornado of baby gear just exploded everywhere. And the best part is you can find stuff that actually looks good without spending a fortune. If you're getting your home ready for a new season or a new baby, Wayfair has everything you need. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. If you're like me, you love coffee, but sometimes coffee doesn't love you back. One too many cups and suddenly you're jittery, your brain's moving at a million miles a minute, and you're wondering why you drank it in the first place. That's why I started trying Mudwater's new low-calf coffee blend. It actually tastes like real coffee, made with organic Arabica beans, but it's only got 45 milligrams of caffeine, plus things like L-theanine and functional mushrooms like lion's mane and cordyceps. So you still get that focus and energy without all the jitters or the crash late in the day. They also have an original blend, which is more of a coffee alternative with cacao, chai, turmeric, and mushrooms if you want something even lighter. Everything is organic, non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, no sugar added, and honestly, it's just a smoother way to start the day without feeling wired. If you want to try it out, head to mudwater.com and grab a starter kit. Right now, listeners get up to 43% off your order, free shipping, and a free rechargeable frother when you use code MAYO. That's MUDWTR.com, code MAYO for up to 43% off. And when they ask how you heard about them, make sure you tell them the Pat Mayo Experience sent you. Three more guys I want to run by you before we get to some one and dones, some bets. We got
to talk one and done because I'm perplexed on that one a little bit. But go with the three guys first.
Kitayama, Haotong, and Ryo Hitsasune.
Well, if you want to make the cut, you go Kitayama.
I feel like if the conditions get bad, that's prime Kitayama time.
Oh, yeah. Whether the conditions are good or bad, the guy makes the cut, and he probably finishes somewhere between 18th and 41st. You know, like that's just Kurt Kitayama. And if the putter for some reason goes like it did at 3M, and this is a very similar driving course like to when he won at 3M, then you're going to have a Kurt Kitayama that's going to be relevant late on a Sunday afternoon, and then we'll see what happens from there. But of those three guys, I mean, Haotong Lee has looked angry lately. I don't know if you know this about him, but that guy, when he got done at Bay Hill the other day, he snapped a club over his knee. I was like, whoa, this guy's got heat. I was like, I love that. He seems to be a little back and forth on his game right now. And, so I like Kitayama there.
Okay. No Hitsetsune, who's another really good positional golf course player.
So that's right. You gave me 3 names. Rio. Yeah, of those 3, definitely Kurt. And I would go Kurt, Rio, Haotongli.
Could I sell you on? Kitayama has gained on the greens in 4 straight events.
Then, I think Kurt is an incredible, foundational play in DFS for a guy that, on a very volatile golf course when it comes to making the cut, that he's going to make it through. And then if he's trending with the putter, then there's a good chance you could get yourself a little bit of a 3M action from last year. And then next thing you know, the guy's in the top 5 with a chance to win. And I don't feel like he's the type of guy that's he might miss putts down the stretch on 16, 17, and 18, but I don't feel like Kurt's the type of guy that's going to miss golf shots. And you want to put yourself in position to try to make putts at least and not pull a JJ and just put the thing in the water on the playoff.
How is the vibe around Rickie Castillo this week coming off a win?
It's very youthful, and he's super exuberant, and the puka shells and all the other different, factors. And, there's always this kind of brotherhood amongst the tour players. And I'm not talking about certainly the guys like Scotty and stuff, if they see him, they'll congratulate him in the locker room, or if they're walking by him on the range, or they'll make a point to stop and say, hey man, good job winning, or something like that. But, all of the guys that we're always talking about in the lower markets and the 7 and the 6s markets there, let's say in DFS, just to kind of categorize them, whatever, all of them make a point to go talk to the guy. It's now you're part of the club. It's like making a hole in one. You're like, hey, everyone that makes a hole in one is always like, hey, good job. Now welcome to the club. So they're like, welcome to the PGA Tour Winners Club. And I think that, he's always been the type of guy that has been that ball striking maven. And you look for the right opportunity. I mean, he's a lot like a Kurt Kitayama in many ways. The way he ball strikes it, the way he plays on very difficult golf courses, ones that really feature long iron shots. I feel like there's been a lot of positive vibes around Rickie Castillo. And quite honestly, he's the type of guy, if I walk by him, he'll definitely look you in the eye and say, hello, how are you doing? And not every player does that. So, I mean, an easy kid to root for.
Who are the players who don't do it?
There's a lot. There's a lot, but they come across the same way in the press room or when you see them on TV. There's plenty that just ignore us for sure.
Let's get to your bets. Who are you betting for the Players Championship, Keith Stewart?
I like Morikawa. I haven't decided yet on Russell. In the middle, I like Hovland and I like Goddard. And then deeper, I'm having this a moment where I'm thinking a lot about either Adam Scott or Thagala. I'll finalize everything in the newsletter, which will come out soon after this show gets released on Tuesday night at midnight, 9 a.m. The newsletter gets delivered. There'll be 2 free picks in there for everybody that subscribes for free. And then, the full betting card for everyone that, subscribes to our premium membership.
So bets for me. Here's what I got in. I got Kim, 45-1 with those 3 places. I mentioned Seb Straka, 60-1 with 5 places. And my main man, Nikolai Højgaard, 140-1 with 3 places. Those are the 3 strong outrights that I have right now. But I will be betting Goddard. So let's see what the best number on Goddard. I'll play him in that 3-place market. That 3-place market has been saving my ass big time. I had Chandler Blanchet last week. When he comes second? You know what second paid? 28-1. That was great. And I'm still in the running for his 140-1 on top of it. So Rory, Smotherman, these guys finishing inside the top 3 are just saving my week. So I can get Goddard 75, with the 3 placements. I will be making that bet as well. And realistically, I think that that Xander ends up on the card or Fleetwood. I'm still debating between those guys right now or that Akshay Kitayama type group of players. But I want to see what happens to this Rory number before I do anything. That I don't want to be sitting here. It's like, oh, I bet Hideki and I bet Xander. It's like, oh no, McIlroy fell to 24-1. I really just wish I would have bet that. And then I'm out of money. I don't want that to happen. That's why I'm going to save it for the Wednesday night show and in the newsletter. That maybe even there's a nice boost that they give out on Wednesday where you can take Rory at those numbers.
I mean, one of the things you got to think about is that the success that you and I have had so far this year coming out of this show. I mean, we contend every single week, and a big part of the evolution of my mindset. I mentioned Russell Henley, but you brought up a number of good points, and it's like, man, Russell Henley is definitely a poor man's Xander. And if they're right around the same number, I could easily be talked into Xander. That's why I'm kind of like questioning that one. I might be pivoting a little bit, but I love those conversations. And I love when we talk about one and done. Where do you love the one and done? Because I've got a couple of thoughts on that, because I've got some guys hanging around, but like, where's your head out on one and done this week?
So usually when I speak from this perspective, I'm thinking of the $1,000 one and done that I'm in. It only has, I think, 50 people in it. So it's a smaller type pool than something like the race for the Mayo Cup at fantasygolfchampionships.com, which has 5,500 people in it. The strategy is a little bit different of what you want to do. I might just load Rory in and go.
Yeah, I mean, Rory's a great pivot play, because if he plays, it's a risk, because I think he's going to play. And if he does, I think he'll play well. I don't think you'll get a Bay Hill where he'll just walk, unless there's something serious. But then I would think he wouldn't play. But no one's going to want to play Rory and take that chance. And if you get anywhere in the top 3 with Rory, you're gonna get a massive check. And for some reason, if he defends, you get $4.5 million. That's a huge asset that no one's going to burn that card this week. I'm very close to pulling the trigger on that one.
So I think that's not for the faint of heart, for one thing.
Yeah.
And it might not be the most logical decision for trying to. I mean, is this the biggest purse of the year? It is, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's 25 million total, 4.5 for first.
So even if you get a 6th in this event, it's pretty good. You get a 3rd, it's like winning another event. Do you want to go with someone more stable that's going to be near the top of the board? Therefore, you guarantee yourself a part of this big purse. That's probably the smarter way to do it. Like if I was in a 3-man, like the 3-man one and done I did do on the show with Jeff and Tim, I took Morikawa. Like Morikawa is the safest pick you'll ever take, it feels like, this week. That doesn't mean he's not going to miss the cut, or it doesn't mean he's not going to come T13, which does you absolutely no good. But in the big one and done, I'm just not taking Morikawa. Like everyone's going to take Morikawa. I just won't. It's no different than I guess it's a little bit different than the Lowry conversation from the Cognizant or one of those very top end guys. But here, it's not like I have to not use, if I don't use Lowry, I have to use Nikolai Højgaard. If I don't use Colin Morikawa this week, I can use Scotty Scheffler if I want to.
Yeah, I used Colin last week and got $800K out of it.
It's not bad. So, that's a good. It's not the best that you'd take. If you had $800K every week, you'd win.
Yes, you would. So it wasn't like I burned Rory or Scotty and got $800K in an event where you could have won $4 million. So I wasn't totally disappointed with that. And I'm sure that I would have picked up spots on the field, because a number of people were going after those very, very high guys, and neither, like Rory came up with 0. So if you burned Rory last week, man, you burned yourself. I don't know. You're right. I mean, we probably should be more conservative, which would lead me down the road to think that, like,
Scotty.
Hell,
Siwoo.
I mean, Siwoo makes sense to me. Even Tommy makes sense to me for the bounce back reasons. Like, not a lot of people are going to take Tommy this week. They're going to go after Colin. They're going to go after Scotty. They're going to go after. No one's getting. With all the question marks around Rory, I think Rory and Tommy kind of are those fun pivots that you and I always talk about.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure where my head's at yet on this.
Rory, Tommy, and Xander are those 3 guys from the top of the board. I think that you'll see more people take Minwoo Lee than take Xander Schauffele this week. And that's not something that I want to get behind. Like, I'm actively fading Minwoo. I like Cam, and it's not that I don't like Minwoo. It's just I don't think that he's in the consideration with the other guys that you have options to take. There's no price attached to them. There's only opportunity cost of where you get to use them and don't get to use them. You can use Minwoo Lee at a lesser event if you really want to use Minwoo Lee. Like Cam Young, I could get behind that. I'm not going to go there. He's going to be popular. And even someone like Seb Straka, who I like and I bet on to win, if I'm going to go down that low, I'd probably go with you mentioned Corey Connors earlier, or Kurt Kitayama. I don't think they're the worst plays if you're actually going off the board with a pick. Like miss that middle range where you still know the guys are going to be somewhat popular, and then go to that next range of guys that you actually like, and maybe you can pop something here. Because the top 10 at the Players usually has like 3 names you most definitely expected to be there who are awesome. Yep. 2 of like the pretty popular names that kind of people talked about through the week, and then 5 random dudes.
Yeah, David Lingmerth is just waiting, to get back in the field and come in 6th for sure.
Jared, you had a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, about the Rory thing.
Yep.
At what point, you're so far behind that becomes a really good pivot, or is it too early in the year to even think about that?
Too early in the year to think about that. This is the first of the big money tournaments.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like once you get,
Yeah.
I think, past the PGA Championship, because you'll have gone through 5 signature events, 2 majors, and the Players, then you're behind the 8 ball, truly. Like if you're out of it, you need to start taking swings.
100%. And with Scotty's recent form, I mean, you would think every year you just auto pick Scotty for the Players because it's the largest purse and he's won it twice and the guy's so consistent and everything. But, everyone that loves the narrative that, Scotty didn't win till May last year or whatever it may be, you'd love to just see more form coming out of him because, yes, he could win $4.5 million this week, but you could take him a month from now at Harbortown or at, Quail or at Doral, and he could win $4 million there for you. And like he's won 2 out of his last 3, and you're like, okay, well now I feel really good about Scotty. So I think I would hold that bullet in the gun for later on till I see a lot more consistent form out of Scotty. And I think there's plenty of names at the top there that are going to perform this week. But you're right, Kurt Connors or Kurt Kitayama are going to get you probably $1 million.
Which would be great. And maybe you should just bet them top 10 or bet them top 20. Or I actually did make a top 40. You want to hear my top 40 parlay?
Oh God, yes. I got to hear this.
I called this I made it
write it down.
I made it on Monday morning. So this is when I start checking all my bets that have lost on Sunday. And I look at this, was like, what was I thinking on Monday morning? Corey Connors, Taylor Pendrith, Joel Damon, Ryo Hitsatsune, and Michael Kim. Top 40 parlay pays 65 to 1.
All right. I took Michael Kim in a head-to-head over Billy Horschel and he got waxed on Sunday. Kim was not his normal self, so hopefully he flips back.
Yeah, he's probably still freaked out by that gator that he saw.
He seems like the type of guy, in those interviews that you do with him all the time, he seems like a very down-to-earth guy and not someone that, if Rickie Castillo went out and wrestled the gator, I would be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I could see Michael Kim running in the other direction.
Well, Mike told me that his swing last week, and the ball striking numbers would show that out, that he told me he has not hit the ball as well all season as he did at Bay Hill.
Ooh.
And when you go look at his strokes gained numbers, he just lost all the strokes putting last week. He was horrible on the greens.
He was horrible there. And a lot of people were talking about, Sepp on Sunday and all of this stuff. The place was dead on Sunday. Okay. It was so crusty. And, you hate to see that because then there's a little bit of luck involved and everything. It's kind of like a U.S. Open, but that's just what it was. Right. And I think if a guy had an outlier round on Sunday, that wouldn't deter me from being still interested in them. If they had an outlier tournament, that might give me pause. But if they had an outlier round on just Sunday at API, I would still, if that's a guy that you liked going into API and you liked him for Players, I would still be on him for Players. This place is in perfect shape. And the fact of the matter is, if you're an accuracy maven and you could put the ball in play and you can target these greens and you can attack with somewhat of a bipolar approach game that's been proven to be very good in the last 3 to 4 events. So what I mean by bipolar is that you've got to be really good right around like 200 to 240 because you're hitting into these par 5s and 2, and you got to be good on the 8th hole. And then you've got to be really good from 100 yards and in. And if you can do those 2 things, put the ball in play off the tee, and then not 3-putt, you're going to be around on Sunday afternoon because you're going to keep yourself out of trouble. And this place has the eject button waiting around every single tree and corner.
Do you know what Justin Thomas's driving accuracy is for the year in his 2 rounds?
It cannot be good.
35%.
Yeah. He was in here on Monday, and he's not really excited about his game. And he was like Brooks, he's talking very much about Magnolia Lane and the prep leading up to that. So when I wrote the power rankings, JT's a guy who has won here. This is a good golf course that fits for him when he's playing well. His approach is really, really good. He doesn't have to use a ton of drivers. His short game is so good. His pitching's so good. You talk about those shots from 75 to 40 yards. He's so very good at those. He could spike with the putter. I mean, last year he shot the course record. What do you have? 11 birdies in that round. The course record, the same one that you talked about Tom Hoagie earlier. But right now he does not seem like he's very happy with his golf game. And, I think I had him at like 58th in the power rankings, and JT should not be down there, but he just doesn't look good.
This guy hasn't played a bunch, but I was thinking about playing another one of those each way win, but with the top 10s on him, was Lucas Glover. Because I'm just looking at the rabbit hole right now. Again, $1 this week with code Sawgrass, betspertsgolf.com. I actually just ran because there's a new scoring section where it shows you like the amount, the percentage of time guys hit it inside 5, 10, and 15 feet from certain approach ranges. So I went and sorted by 201 plus. Like, who are the guys who put it inside 15 feet more than anything out there, like of any of those guys? Justin Thomas, weirdly, is still number one because he actually played the par fives pretty well. And with Sungjae and JT from Bay Hill, both their ball speeds were higher than their regular average, which I thought was somewhat encouraging for them not being structurally wrong. Like, they're not being limited by anything. They're just not back to where they need to be. But so Rory's number two. Rory's number two in that, and he is number three in scoring opportunities inside 15 feet from 50 to 100 yards, which I thought was interesting because he's won here before. And then Tom Hoagie is another guy who does both those things really well. Lucas Glover is another one who does both those things really, really well. So does Shane Lowry and Fitz.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lucas Glover, Shane Lowry, those guys can hit irons. I mean, like they do it like it's their job. Now, granted, you're right, Keith, it is their job. But I had a really interesting comment about Lucas Glover. I was walking around on Monday and I was talking to a couple of guys, and there's a lot of conversation in the media center about who's going to be the Ryder Cup captain. I think a lot of people are starting to lose hope that it's going to be Tiger, and I don't have any insights on that. But then, so that's makes us bring up different names. And somebody said to me, like, if you go the Keegan route again, who would you pick? And I said, I wouldn't go the Keegan route again. I mean, I think it's unfair to the guy. And I think that it became a total distraction to the team. And because certain players on the team, we know after the fact, we know that they wanted Keegan to play, and Keegan's like, I can't do that. Right. So like the whole thing was just a mess. But Lucas Glover's name came up, and I was like, well, why do you bring up Lucas? They said, everybody loves Lucas.
Not his wife.
Well,
when he's winning, yeah, sure.
I just thought it was an interesting comment. And I said, well, he didn't play in a Ryder Cup, but he played in a couple President's Cups. So maybe the next President's Cup. But everybody loves Lucas. And then, you know what? The guy's a total rock star. He's the best.
Do you give him, like, he's come inside, he was inside the top 10 last year at this tournament. It's a course that is perfectly set up for everything he does well. He's super accurate. He's great with his long irons, and he's great with his wedges. That in between stuff, not so much. And for whatever reason, he can kind of putt at this tournament.
Again, year after year, these names pop up, and they are guys like, we haven't even brought up like Aaron Rye's name or these guys that just, they don't miss cuts here. And Lucas is like that. Tom Hoagie's like that. Like, but what do those guys do really? What is their DNA? Like,
accuracy.
They absolutely flush it with an iron, and they can flush it off the tee when they're positional. And by all means, is Lucas Glover going to win this thing? No, but taking a shot on him for a top 10, there are a lot crazier people to do that with. Corey Connors, Kurt Kitayama, top 10. At least you know that you going into Sunday, you're like, I've got a chance for this bet, versus like it ends on Friday.
So the other names that appear inside the top 30 in both the inside 15 feet approach from beyond 200 yards and inside 15 feet percentage from 50 to 100 yards, I've already went over a few of them. So Lowry, Fitz, Goddard, Matsuyama, Knapp, Siwoo, Wyndham Clark, Michael Brennan, Jacob Bridgman, Max Grazerman, Ben Griffin, Brian Harmon, who was Cuss' sneaky pick here, who's been terrible this year.
Brian Harmon was doing a lot of work with his coach on Monday. A lot of work. Now he's played well here before, so maybe he feels good about it. The way he drives the golf ball when he's playing well. Well,
did you tell him to speed it up a bit? Would you watch him? He was hitting shots on the range for 3 hours. You shot him hit 3 shots.
I stayed there for 20 minutes and I saw 2 shots, Pat. It was enough for me. Okay. No, it's true though. I mean, he's definitely deliberate. That being said, I don't know about Harmon there, but you threw me off my train of thought. I don't know. Like, yeah,
I'll give you the Ryder Cup captain. I mean, it's a very to me, it's a very clear answer. If Tiger doesn't want to do it, why isn't Stewart Cink the captain? Major winner, Ryder Cup experience. He's 50. Like, he makes a ton of sense.
I would want to spend more time. I don't know Stewart Cink that well, but I need a guy that has proven to me to be the strong, silent type and can kind of fill that Luke Donald mold. And I'm all for being a copycat league as far as this goes. And I would be looking for someone that would be more like Steve Stricker than I'd be looking for Stewart Cink. Personally, if Tiger says no, I would be on the phone to Stricker.
Not Furyk?
Furyk would be on that short list, and Justin Leonard would be on that short list for me. One of those three guys. I like Leonard, but I think he wants to play too much on Champions Tour, so that wouldn't be good for me if I was running the team. But like Justin would be good because being from Texas, we need to get Scotty on board. We're over in Rome. He's crying. We're at Bethpage. He's getting beat down. We need the number one player in the world to be like Rory in the Ryder Cup. The reason that Luke is so good is that because his number one player leads that team. And if there's one thing that the U.S. lacks over the last 30 years of all this mediocrity with the Ryder Cup is that our number one player is, I'm not going to say they're not into it, but they've never really been that guy. They've never been that alpha dog. How many times has the number one player in the world, the sitting number one player in the world, won the Ryder Cup? Pat?
I assume a few times when the U.S. won with Tiger on the team.
One time. 1999, Brookline. That's the only time the number one player in the world, whoever he may be at the time the Ryder Cup takes place, has ever won the Ryder Cup. So what does that do?
That can't be true.
Okay, so but
in 2003, where did they play?
2003. So
wouldn't that have been in the States?
No, we didn't play in 03 because it got kicked because of 9/11 from 01 to 02. So it's 02, 04, 06, 08, 8, obviously Valhalla with Azinger. Of course, what happened in 2008? Tiger was the number one player in the world when the U.S. won. Where was he? Broken leg. Did not play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right? That's crazy.
Yep. Number one player in the world, I think, in 93 was Faldo, right? But the U.S. won at the Belfry. Like, if you go back and you look, like, you need the alpha dog next to that captain. Like I don't know how else to explain this, but Jon Rahm is a tremendous personality. Like, he is a bull in the room. And when he's in a press conference, when he's out on the golf course, the way he plays on the golf course is exactly the way he acts around the golf course, like the practice facility and everything. He is a presence. And to watch him, the way that he follows Rory around and Luke at Bethpage, that has to make an impact on you, right? Everyone on that team was like, whatever Luke's doing, whatever Rory's doing, that's what I'm in for. And we are totally committed. And I don't see that on our side. And I've talked about this a bunch, right? We got to get Scotty to make the Ryder Cup to be his thing. And it just may not be. And we'll fail at that because he wants to be a family man or play pickleball or do the things that he normally does. And he doesn't owe us to do that at all. But I think that's really where the success comes and goes from at the end of the day. I think that's where the U.S. side really needs to focus their attention. So if Stricker can get him to do it, obviously Tiger could get in his ear, but that may or may not mean anything to him. I don't know. And I'm not trying to put more extra pressure on him. But the fact of the matter is that the number one player in the world has only won the Ryder Cup one time. And we know for a long stretch of that it was Tiger. Says a lot about our success or lack thereof when it comes to winning the cup.
I think it's just the difference between and listen, the U.S. dominates the international team, but they're not really a cohesive team by any means. There's a bunch of guys from around the world, just not in Europe. And I'm someone who roots for the international team in the President's Cup. I root for Europe against the United States. And the one thing that you see not being American is that Americans are up for themselves. The other teams play as a team. That's a difference.
Well, culturally, I can't argue with you. I mean, you go over to Europe and they have like a playlist. It's like they're handing it out at school. Right? Like the kids are running around. They're playing Cranberries song and everybody's singing Rory. Like everyone knows what to do. Over here, like the best chant we can come up with is like, F you, Rory. Like that's all we can do. Because no one wants to take the time to actually come together and like build a culture around this team, like Team USA. I think it's great that everyone is like, oh, the Hughes brothers, they're on Saturday Night Live and the US won first time in 46 years, blah, 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 blah. Then everybody went on their way. Right? No one even knows that even happened 2 weeks later, or whatever. We need to get America behind this Ryder Cup team. Otherwise, it's just something that they do for a week, once every 2 years. And then, hey, if we get hot with the putter, so be it. But otherwise, you know what I mean? It's like beating your head against the wall. It's the definition of insanity. We keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Well,
Not gonna happen.
but you can even see it in the media. Maybe it's because it's American media versus European media or international media that if Sam Burns wins an event, no one is asking him like, man, this is really good for your Ryder Cup chances. Where even last year when Dietrich won in Phoenix, like, man, you could be on the Ryder Cup team. He's all fired up about it.
At the BMW, I was standing there when they asked Scotty, I think it was Tuesday afternoon. It was his press conference. And, they started asking him, they're like, hey, what do you think about Bethpage? And he's like, hey, guys, I got work to do. If you want to ask me about something that's in a month, he goes, I'm going to go back to the practice range.
Are you going to be at Sawgrass all week or are you leaving?
No, I'll be here all week. I'll be here through Sunday.
So if you got questions throughout the course of the week, Keith, besides Read the Lines newsletter, you'll be sending out your plays every day. Where else can people get at you?
Oh, just hit me up on X for sure. At Read the Line or at KJ Stewart PGA, either one. Just send me a tweet. And if you have a question or something like that, and maybe I'll even get involved in the Cut Sweat show on Friday, depending on what's going on out there. I've been known to walk around the grounds with some AirPods on there, Mr. Mayo. So, I don't want to get myself thrown out, but maybe I can walk around, follow a couple of groups, and we can have some fun on Friday afternoon. But I'll definitely be here on property. I'm here for the week.
I love that. I'd love to see you on the Cut Sweats as well. We're hoping we can pull that off. So just, fingers crossed, Saturday my wife goes into labor or something like that. So I can do the Cut Sweat show. That's the important, and I'll get the research show done for next week as well. And then I can take a little bit of time off. We'll see. But Read the Line, the newsletter link is in the description if you want to hit it right now. All right. My newsletter link is down there as well. Smash the like, sub to the channel. Thanks for tuning in to all the players content this week. There's still more to come. There's
no
a live
questions?
No. Oh yeah. Hit me with your question. I always forget. You got to bring that up to me. I always forget.
Well, I'm bringing it up right now,
okay.
But you were getting in closed mode. So I was like, I gotta interrupt them. Sorry. All right. Who's better this week? Tommy or Ludwig?
Tommy.
Favorite color?
Green.
The hole you would make the biggest number on here at TPC Sawgrass?
6.
Oh, with the tree limb? You just start hitting the tree off the tee? I love it.
I mean, I'm not a big tree off the tee guy. Jared, however, why don't you tell Keith what happened to you when we played last year and how many rounds we played?
Yeah, so we went to Digby for 4 rounds, and I think even a practice round made it 5. Every single time, there was one solitary tree 50 yards in front.
On the first hole.
On the first hole. And then as the weekend progressed, everybody started to watch. Like, is this guy going to fucking hit the tree again? Sure enough, man. Didn't matter where I put it. Didn't matter where my feet were. Didn't matter where I ended. I was smack dab in the middle.
I love it. When you hit it for like the 4th time, you turn to the crowd and you go, clinic's over. That's what you tell them. You're like, I'm done. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, Mr. Mayo, rate your wardrobe.
Ooh, 9.5.
Whoa, like you're driving. I like that. Your quote unquote favorite or elite star to miss the cut this week.
Ludwig.
If you could travel, the kid. All right. If you could travel back in time to any golf tournament, which one would you go to?
86 Masters?
Yeah, I would have said the same thing.
Maybe you know what? Maybe 97 Masters.
Dating myself, but I remember everything about the 97 Masters but I don't remember everything about the 86 Masters and the way everyone talks about it and the way that Sunday went down. And when you watch it, you're like, man, if you were walking around that afternoon, that must have been absolutely insane. Cause it was insane last year with Rory walking around. I can't imagine like 2019 with Tiger, but we all lived through that. 86 would be, that probably would have been my answer too. If TPC Sawgrass were an animal, what animal would it be?
Porcupine.
Oh, what a great answer. All right. Do you carry a wallet?
No.
Interesting. Where do you put your money? Where do you put your Smotherman money?
No, that's all digital, pal. I have a phone that has a place for 4 cards in the back, and even that's too much. I pay mostly everything with my watch.
All right. Players is obviously the flagship event of the PGA Tour. What's the second best event on tour? No majors. What's the second best event on the PGA Tour?
The Heritage.
What's the app you use the most on your phone?
Probably, it was the Fantasy National app until that needs to be completely reconstructed. It's probably the PGA Tour app now because I'm just like, all right, what are my guys doing? Did I miss anything in the last 20 seconds? Did they get a hole in one yet? But
Last one.
It was worse at Puerto Rico this week when it wasn't updating.
Oh God, yeah. The PGA Tour app could use some. You could use a couple more hamsters on the wheel in there. Last one. Who wins this week? Pat Mayo.
See, woo, Kim.
Take us away.
That'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Sub to my newsletter on Substack, Mayo Media. Check it out there. Rate and review the podcast. Code Sawgrass at BetSportsGolf.com for $1 for the rabbit hole for this week. There's tons going on. You can find all of that information in the newsletter as well, so I won't bother you with any more promotions. Just hit the description. All the links are down there, okay? I even have a boosted to make the cut parlay at coolbet.com if you want to check that out too. But good luck this week. Win some cash, and I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!